Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We've been working on this WD project, waiting on my parts to get in, so I've been doing some painting as you've seen. Just some cleanup, getting some things in primer that makes it a little bit easier to get to while the engine's out of the chassis. So that leads me to my next piece. While I'm waiting on my engine parts to come in, I need to look at the head and check out the valves and make sure that they're okay. They appear to be fine, but I want to go ahead and get the springs and the keepers off, and then we can pull the valves and look at it to see if they are seating good in the seats. So we'll flip the camera around here and I'll show you where I'm at and then where we're headed. Okay, so here's the head. Last time you saw it, it was getting a coat of primer over there on the block that's in the center of the screen there. So I've moved it over here to the bench, and we'll go ahead and pull all the tape and stuff off of this thing. Won't get any orange paint until it's actually up on the tractor, so not too concerned about my tape at this point. So we'll go ahead and pull the covering off that I got up here just to protect the springs and everything on the inside while I did my painting, and then we'll use the compression tool, just a big C-clamp, really pretty cheap piece, but man, it makes a world of difference in order to get these valves out of here. So we'll just compress those down and check them out one at a time. So as you can see, I know it's kind of loud, I got my space heater running. As you can see, the valves appear to be in pretty good shape. If you look real close, however, I believe this is an exhaust valve. Notice how it's sticking down past the surface of the bottom of the head here. So that's exhaust, intake, exhaust. And you can see the exhaust valves all the way through there kind of stick out, and the intakes are down. So I'm not sure why they're like that, but it's been marked right here, so somebody's done some work in here at some point. Either way, we're going to go ahead and we'll start right here and go ahead and pull that valve out. We'll look at it and see what it needs. So if you've never used one of these compression tools, like I said, there's really not much to them. There's a fitting that goes around the valve, and I'll put some nuts on here so I can use my drill, but just to show you what I'm going to do, I'll just tighten this up. Actually, I may need to put a different end on this. Don't know if I'll have enough room to get my keepers out. See, maybe this one. Yeah, that one will probably work a little better. So these just pull off like that. Swap these around here. Put that other one on the one that's on the bottom. See, now I've got a lot more room in here to work with. I need to be able to get those keepers out. And once you get it compressed, you can see I've got this opening in there. Got two keepers. What I found works pretty good is just a magnet. Pull that keeper right out there. The other one looks like it's kind of sucked in there from the oil. So we'll bring it over to this side. Once your keepers are out of there, just back it off. Make sure you don't slide off your spring. Alright, so I'm out of thread. I don't know how much tension I got. It doesn't feel like a whole lot. It's got a little bit. Let's go ahead and pull that off. The manual should tell you what your spring should measure, so I will check that. I'll need to get my manual and verify what I got. So now the valve is free. I'm just going to pull it out. And I'm going to look on the bottom of this. Just look at that edge. Looking for any kind of pitting. Don't see any. There's some pretty good carbon buildup. So it doesn't look too bad. Then we're going to look at the valve seat. That up just a smidgen. I can see, and I think you can see too, there's just a little bit of junk right here. There's quite a bit of stuff inside. That's, like I said, that was the exhaust. Probably clean that up. I'll probably lap these valves. Got some lapping pump compound that should clean up our edge. Then I'll clean up these valves too. Alright, so that's the basics of it. I'm going to clean that up with a wire wheel on my drill. Let's get that carbon deposit, get that stuff out of there. And then I'll go ahead and put some lapping compound on there and lap that valve and make sure we got good seal all the way around it. Alright, so I've cleaned up the valve, got my lapping tool, and I've got my compound, which is just some Permatex compound. You can hear the grinding on there. So the grinding starts out at looks like 220 grit or 120 grit. Then it grinds down to a fine 220. So let's pull that out and look at it. So I may have had too much compound on that. Look around the edge there, kind of see where we've been. It looks pretty decent. Actually, it looks pretty good all the way around it. So I've got uniform distance right there on where the brighter portion of the valve is, where it's been grinding against the seat. Looks like the same thickness all the way through there, so that means that my seat is going to have the same thing. So at this point I think that looks good. What I'm not sure of yet is how those valves kind of stick down past the edge of the bottom of that head. So I want to go ahead and grab my manual and check it out, see if it says anything about it. Got my helper down here. Don, that's for you. You're always asking about prints. There he is. Okay, so I pulled my manual out and I want to check on a few things. The springs that I mentioned earlier, on a 301 engine, there's a certain measurement for those springs to determine whether they're good or not. On this 201, or now a 226 is getting upgraded, there's no dimension specified for the spring, so we don't have to worry about the springs. It does tell you, however, that if you're lapping the valves, that you should lap it at a 45-degree angle. And the distance of the width on the seat should be 1/16 of an inch. So we can measure that. You can see where the valve and the seat are shiny. So a 1/16 of an inch is 0.0625 in decimal. So I don't know if I can measure it, but basically when I'm looking at it, I'm a little bit over what the spec is. Now, everything's good and clean. I mean, I'm just a fraction over, so I'm not too concerned about it. Earlier you couldn't really see this seat very well, but it's nice and shiny. So everything looks fine there. My helper's trying to get in the way here. So that looks good. So I'm going to say that I am where I need to be as far as the spec goes. And it kind of steps you through the process here. I'm not going to go through that with you guys, but and then there's also a cap. It's called a roto cap, and it's effective after a certain engine serial number. So the cap that goes on here, it's on top of your spring, It's engineered so that each time that valve goes up and down, it twists the valve just a little bit, and so that will make it create a new seat. Now, I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. You know, if you get carbon or something in there, I guess it could help kind of keep that clean, because that valve is continually, you know, moving around 360 degrees. But then if you've got bad seats, I could see where, you know, it could make it worse. So either way, I'm not a cylinder head expert by any means, just reading the manual. So at this point, we've got that first one lapped. I'm going to lube the valve up with Lucas, and we'll slide it back in there and get it tightened up, and then we'll just go right down and do the rest of them. So that's the gist of it. I'm not going to bore you with a bunch of video on me just knocking these out. So just wanted to show you the steps on that. So appreciate you watching. Hit like and subscribe and leave comments. If you've come across anything on these heads that I should be aware of, let me know. Or if you have any thing to add to the valve piece of it, please leave a comment below. Have a good day.